First of all, thank you very much to TiE for inviting me to this panel. It is my honor to be here to address the participants and those who are viewing this through the TV about how Hong Kong can help entrepreneurs to access the Asia-Pacific market, in particular the Chinese market. The previous speakers, Richard and also Brandon, they talk about a number of things that are very important to all entrepreneurs. Funding, talents, market, ideas, knowledge, infrastructure. And infrastructure is a big word. So what is it about? We'll talk about it later. Some general things about Hong Kong. Hong Kong has become a special administrative region of China since 1997. But although we are one country under China, we operate two separate systems. We are under high degree of autonomy. We have a separate legislature and government. We have an independent judiciary. We are still operating the common law system, and we have very strong intellectual property protection regime. Both English and Chinese are our official languages. We have a separate currency with the Hong Kong dollar pegged to the US dollar, which means that US companies dealing business with Hong Kong can have a better certainty in terms of exchange rate. We are also free to handle our trade and external relations. That's why I'm here. A brief introduction, I'm the director of the Hong Kong Economic and Trade Office in San Francisco. Our role here is to enhance the relationship between Hong Kong and the United States, and I cover the western part of the United States here and based in San Francisco. Hong Kong is a member of the WTO, APEC, AIIB, and we have recently signed a free trade agreement with ASEAN countries. We are the world's #1 freest and most competitive economy. In terms of freest economy, we have got this title for more than 2 decades in a row. We have a particularly simple and low tax system. Our tax rate for salary tax is 15% maximum. For corporate tax, it's only 16.5%. But in order to help the small and medium enterprises as well as the innovation companies and startups, we are reducing it for the first 250,000 profits to only 8.25%, a single-digit number. We do not levy any tax on capital gains, interest, dividends, inheritance, no GST, no VAT, no tariffs on imports, exports, no wine duty, etc. It means that any companies that do with trading can have, and also do with business with Hong Kong, it is very easy for them to manage their tax. We are a very well-regulated Tier 1 international financial center. We are the top 5 IPO markets. Actually, just a couple of weeks ago, we have announced that we will be implementing a system where there will be a dual-class share system. And after that, already a dozen companies have already indicated interest in listing in Hong Kong, including the Xiaomi, which is a giant company in China who would like to list in Hong Kong to raise capital. Our stock market capital is already over 3 trillion with a connection to Shanghai and Shenzhen stock markets. There's no foreign exchange control, meaning companies who would like to bring capital into Hong Kong and out of Hong Kong would be much easier. We are an international logistics hub with our world-class aviation airport actually handling the largest amount of air cargo in the world. We have a good seaport. We are currently, in terms of container throughput, we are the 5th in the world. We used to be the 1st, but nowadays we focus more on high-value added goods. We have a great, important convention and exhibition center, which have convention and exhibitions every day, and many of these events are actually world-class and top of the world. Every year, we attract 57 million visitors, and this figure is for last year. Many of them are from mainland China. A lot of them are from other parts of Asia and around the world. In fact, Hong Kong has become kind of a showroom for Asia. A lot of people come to Hong Kong, in particular those from mainland, to come to Hong Kong to see what is trendy. So it is a good place for businesses to showcase their products and services. We are a world-class legal and arbitration services center, which helps business to settle their legal disputes. We have trade agreements with a lot of countries, which, as I mentioned, including the ASEAN. We were talking about talents. We were talking about funding. We were talking about infrastructure, information flow. Hong Kong is one of the pillars of success for Hong Kong is freedom of expression and freedom of creativity, freedom of speech. These are all very important for entrepreneurs who create a business, in particular those who work on innovation. And intellectual property protection is better in Hong Kong. I mean, it's one of the best regimes around Asia. And when we talk about talents, we have a lot of good universities in Hong Kong, and a few of them are actually world top class among top 100. If we are talking about funding, as I mentioned in my slide, actually we are the top 5 IPO market, with the being the second largest in FDI recipient in the world. A lot of capital that comes into China or goes out from China actually go via Hong Kong. Talking a bit bigger about possibilities of market expansion, we have a unique access to the Belt and Road Initiative, which covers some 60 countries with 30% of the global GDP. But if we look at a smaller region, this is a map of the region around Hong Kong, what we call the Guangdong, Hong Kong, Macau Bay area. You see the Hong Kong in the yellow region. This area is very important because it consists of 11 cities, but with 68 million population, with a GDP that is comparable to South Korea and Australia alone. And it is within 90 minutes of travel radius and linked by a lot of high-speed railway system. This ensures that there are very good information, people, as well as capital and goods flow. Talking about innovation and technology, we have some 2,000 startups in Hong Kong with some 50+ private incubators. There are 2 kind of public incubators in Hong Kong called the Science Park as well as the Cyberport, which provides excellent services as well as infrastructural capabilities. Right now, we are focusing on 4 areas of strength, including biotech, AI, smart city, and FinTech. For FinTech, obviously, because Hong Kong is Asia's financial center. For biotech, actually in Hong Kong, it is a very unique place because most of the people in Hong Kong are of Chinese ethnicity. We have a very good medical system, which has very long history of medical records, which companies can gain access to. And that's why a number of very important international institutions have come to establish in Hong Kong to do research, like the Karolinska Institute from Sweden, as well as the Guangzhou Institute of Biomedicine and Health. They come to Hong Kong because of the unique position of Hong Kong being part of China, but yet being an international center. Being a place where people can exchange ideas, exchange knowledge, but with good protection of their intellectual property, as well as gaining access to not only funding, but they can also go across the border and gain access to the immense manufacturing capability in southern part of China. That means people can gain access to do prototyping or scale their manufacturing extremely easily. And also, not to mention, the 1.4 billion market that is in the mainland China, of course, is one of the biggest attraction to a lot of business. But why through Hong Kong? Richard mentioned about going into the mainland market can be difficult because it's very complicated. But in Hong Kong, we have very good tradition and long history of working with mainland China. We share the same culture, we share the same written language, we know the system, but yet in Hong Kong you can conclude your contracts under common law system, independent judiciary, you can ensure that you can get very good protection, but with good social connections to mainland China. So, in conclusion, Hong Kong is the gateway for two-way investment for companies to go into China or get investment from China. This is my presentation. Thank you.